Welcome to Ageless by Rescu. This podcast is devoted to exploring the science of rejuvenation, uncovering the most trusted experts, the must-have products, innovations, and technology in the field of vitality, aesthetics, new beauty, and cosmetic enhancement. This is a special episode because I'm actually bringing you a guest who is so special and so dear to my heart. On a number of occasions, Karina Stewart has saved me literally when I was on the brink of, spiritual, physical, emotional abyss, because you and your beautiful husband, John, founded what I know to be heaven on earth, Kamalaya Retreat, the world's best, not just voted by me, but literally the most awarded wellness retreat on the planet.
Thank you. Thank you. What an introduction. Thank you so much, Bahar. It has been an amazing and incredible meeting of hearts and souls from when we first met, when you first came. And I remember our lunches together, and then also in Sydney, having lunches together. And just, I felt from the beginning that there was such an affinity, such an incredible connection between us. And then you came and discovered Kamalaya. So it's been a joy. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Do you know, Karina, I actually have to say that I think the first kernel of inspiration for the Ageless podcast, the Ageless magazine, came to me in Kamalaya. And I think it was on my third visit.
Wow.
That something in me shifted, and I thought, this is more than a holiday. This is more than a wellness retreat. And I've traveled to, I can really say I'm a seasoned wellness retreat traveler. I have been to many of the finest around the world, certainly to many in Australia, but nothing felt like a homecoming back to my soul. And I never left anywhere in my peak physical, mental, emotional wellness that I had in Kamalaya. And I thought, what would that be like if that was a permanent state of being? And if you could take that concept of global experts that come together to sweep in and regenerate you. And that's what you and John have done at Kamalaya. And for me, that I really have to say, that was the germination of the concept of ageless for me, because coming to Kamalaya resets the clock.
Yeah. Yeah, it does in very, very profound ways. As you said, it's not just a physical resetting, although that certainly happens. You can reset your habits, your rhythms, your routines. You can jumpstart your metabolism as well as, life goals. But it's deeper than that. It goes much deeper than that. It happens at an emotional level. And I find it fascinating how many of our guests come at those points in their life when they're looking for that turning point, that fresh start, that sort of inspiration that can fuel and catalyze change, life change. And I mean, it just over and over. I don't know if they know that that's what they're looking for when they come, but certainly when they leave, they feel that's one of the things that they take home with them, which for us it was always our vision. That was the purpose. That was the seed intention of Kamalaya, was that we would be able to sort of fertilize and water and nurture that seed inside each of us that expresses our life potential. And whether people know it or not, that's one of the things they take away with them when they leave Bahar. Thank you. I just love hearing from you. I know we always share, but thank you. I'm so delighted.
For me, one of the best things about doing this podcast and publishing the magazine as well is to be able to join the dots for the listeners and the viewers and the readers of some of the truly extraordinary and expansive experiences and people that I've met on my journey. And it just felt so natural for us to bring the world of Kamalaya to the listeners. And I want to start with people who have perhaps never considered or been on a wellness retreat, and to maybe just plant the seed of what a first-time experience at somewhere like Kamalaya, what they can expect. Because, I have all of my things that I tell friends, and I've sent so many friends to Kamalaya. I've attended so many times, as I said, and I'm coming again this year. But what do you think is the journey for someone who's never experienced an immersive wellness retreat and reset?
That's a great question. And believe it or not, in all these years, I have never been asked that question in this way, in this open way, because you really set the stage for it, right? I would say, and I'll approach it from that same open, expanded view, is first come with no expectations. What I mean by that is come with a beginner's mind. Even if you've been to many other wellness destinations or spas or medi spas, come open so that you really arrive with a clean slate, because I think that can facilitate sort of the deepest immersive experience that has the most impact. So I would start there. That's hard to do. It's easier said than done. But I would say definitely don't have expectations. Just come fresh, like a beginner's mind. From that point, every guest that arrives, the first and most important step is the wellness consultation with one of our professional practitioners. They can be either naturopaths or nutritionists or traditional Chinese medical doctors. We now have Thai traditional medical doctors, which is so exciting. And they come with a wealth of training and experience and resources from their culture. And that wellness consultation with our guest on arrival sets the stage for the journey ahead. Because
I want to just interject there, because again, I have been to many health retreats in Australia and around the world. And I have to say, this primary step is by far the most important and the most unique aspect of Kamalaya for me, is the depth of consultation and the inventorization of your ailments, your wishes, your wellness, lifespan, rejuvenation goals. I have never, not with a doctor, not with a specialist, not with any other integrative, medicine, ever had a consultation that's as thorough and as important as the ones that I've had at Kamalaya. And each time that I've come, it seems to really unveil a different aspect of my wellness and rejuvenation journey that I hadn't considered. But
Yes.
it didn't feel like a medical poke and prod, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. No. I really have to say we take great care to select a team that really has their intention. Of course, they're professionally trained, and that's just the common starting point, is their training, their background, their expertise. But the additional part that we find is so important, it's crucial to Kamalaya, is that their hearts are in the right place, their minds are in the right place, their focus is in the right place. And that makes all the difference. They are the health guardians. They're the curators of your journey. And so you're right, it's really a point of difference. And because from that point, you may have arrived having already pre-selected a wellness program. No problem with that, because then at that wellness consultation,
every single time I've arrived, oh, I'm going to do the weight loss, or I'm going to do the stress or the sleep. And then I arrive, I do my inventory, I do my consultation, and I go, actually, what I really need and I'm avoiding is.
yes, exactly. And that's the beauty. That's why we have that initial consultation right away, because even if you've already pre-selected a program, we can do several things. We can change it altogether because it's truly not the right program, and it's not going to hit the mark. Because, if you think of it, Bahar, now the most precious commodity we have is our time and our attention, right? Money is also important, for sure. Our financial, determines many things, but really most precious is time and presence. So if people are taking the time to travel from so far away, now even more so, right, because of all the situation, we want to make sure that our guest really has the most potent, effective results-oriented experience during their stay. And so that's really a critical moment. So the program can be changed, but it can also be tailored. So that means you still keep the basic structure, but there are treatments that maybe they might be contraindicated for medical reasons or medical history, or there might be other treatments that'll augment the experience much more. And then other times we just have to start from scratch. I mean, literally, it's so personalized, and let's say the goals or the health history in that given moment are so unique that we have to really just completely start from scratch. All of those are options, and that's the beauty. When we say a personalized journey for health and wellness, we mean it. And that's a really unique thing. On top of that, we have, of course, our incredible holistic activities schedule, which, as you've seen, is just massive. I mean, we have over 70 different.
I have never, ever been able to get through everything, and I've been so many times. I actually keep a wish list of some of the basic complementary inclusions that you have that I want to get through on each visit, because the choices and the amount of pampering and rejuvenating experiences that are on offer from literally dawn till dusk, it's extraordinary.
Yeah. And they complement the program. So with your practitioner, we also highlight which of these best complement. It's still your choice. You can select what you like, but we try to give you, again, the curated experience. These particular activities will augment your wellness program. And then there are additional classes and talks and, all of that, the facilities. And I would say the common fear of a first-time visitor is, I'm going to get bored. I mean, I giggle, but that's the most common. They are afraid that they're going into some kind of an environment that's going to be sterile or a little too austere, a little too strict, like a boot camp or a fat farm, excuse me for the terminology, but that was the traditional idea of a health journey. And they find the opposite. Like you, there's so many options. There is so much in this environment. It's rich and lush and abundant, not just through the vegetation, but through the activities, through the treatments, through the people, through the community table where you can enjoy meals together if you wish.
I want to talk about that, the people experience, because again, that's a question that I'm asked a lot when it comes to, oh, but isn't it weird going somewhere by yourself? And it was weird for me the first time that I went. I'd always traveled to health retreats with my parents. I would either go with my mom or my dad. We would take one trip a year to a wellness retreat. And the first time I went by myself was to Kamalaya. And I really, it stretched me, but I can tell you every single visit that I've made, and this, I have made lifelong friends from, men, women, young, old, from all corners of the globe. Very, very interesting clientele that you get. It is, I would say, certainly a upper echelon of people who are interested in wellness and cellular vigor. And whilst there's that beautiful Thai casualness and that island bliss, there is still an elegance at Kamalaya that I haven't experienced at other wellness retreats. And I think, if you are a resort lover like me, I like going to nice hotels and resorts. I was also concerned that it was going to be possibly boring, 2 possibly lonely, and 3 potentially sterile. I've had New Year's Eve parties with you. I've had Christmas parties with you.
Yes. Yes.
I've celebrated my birthday at Kamalaya, and it was indeed like some of the most memorable, social, and deeply engaged experiences of my life.
Oh, you articulate that so well, and that really, I think, is also a very unique part of the Kamalaya culture and the Kamalaya ethos, is this community of international, but not just travelers, but international individuals who are very, very passionate about their life.
Yes.
Whatever walk of life they're in, they're passionate and they're exploring. Some are starting on their wellness exploration, some are well into it, and some are actually extremely sophisticated, like yourself. You've gone to many. You're not a newbie. Yeah, and I think that this community that has been created for the last almost 17 years. In November, it will be 17 years. Is just, like you said, it's individuals who are passionate about life, but also who come from diverse backgrounds, diverse cultures. And it becomes this, I find it very stimulating. John and I love meeting our guests. And even within our practitioners, we have people from all over the world. It feels like the UN at any given moment, with so many people.
It's funny because, again, when you go to a lot of these retreats, you often see celebrities and A-listers. And in other retreats, if they're there, they're sticking to themselves. It's dark glasses, no eye contact. But at Kamalaya, every time I've been there and there have been celebrities, everyone is just so relaxed and so themselves that the conversation and the, interaction is just supernatural. And it doesn't matter, who you are, you're a Kamalaya guest, and everyone feels like a VIP, but also everyone feels that their privacy is shielded because, we're on this incredible island, flanked by a beach and mountain. And, I'm such a fan. I want to be careful not to gush, but really it is an extraordinary property with extraordinary services. And, we'll get to the food and the other amazing stuff in a second. But yes, the community. And you're right. If you wanted to dispel a myth about traveling to Kamalaya, that would be it. It's not sterile. It's not boring.
No, no, not at all. And the other thing I do want to highlight, since I have the opportunity right now with you, and we're both women and we've both traveled on our own.
Yes.
Often throughout the years, the number of women that tell me, like you, that they come to Kamalaya and it's their first time to travel on their own without a friend, family member, or life partner, or kids, or parents, is staggering. And they comment on how comfortable it has been, how safe they feel, how the architecture and the land is very embracing, truly. The boulders, the way nature, it creates a ecosystem all its own. And our guests mentioned that, our female guests really mentioned that over and over and over for all these years. So I would say that's very special, to be able to travel and feel very safe and well cared for, and you don't have to protect yourself as a woman, because you're in an environment that is very supportive in that way, is really important. And the other thing I wanted to say is, we do, a really big aspect of our philosophy is authenticity. It's authenticity carried all the way through. So exactly what you were saying, where whether people are well known and famous and celebrities, or whether they're not, we're all together at Kamalaya, and we don't have to wear a mask. We don't have to wear armor. We don't have to carry a particular image forward.
It's the only place in the world I don't get my hair done. I'm like full au natural at Kamalaya.
Well, you're stunning, whether or natural or not, Bahar. So, but yes, that we encourage that. We invite that. That is the culture we want, because for us, our primary purpose is healing, wellness, well-being, and healing. And it's hard to do that if we're always wearing a mask or wearing something overlay. It's like we have to let our hair down. We have to let ourselves relax, and it will naturally take place. And then we can pick it all up right when we walk out the door. So thank you for highlighting that, because I do think our guests in the community and our team are absolutely precious and unique.
One of the things that I guess is also absolutely worth mentioning is the evolution of the treatments that you've offered. So, someone who's been familiar with Kamalaya perhaps over the past 8 or 9 years, I've definitely seen the evolution of the treatment and the program offerings, which I haven't seen in other retreats. Sometimes, somewhere will launch and they're famous for one thing and that's all they do. And the menu is the same, both in treatments and the food and the style. Whereas I do feel like every time I come to Kamalaya, there's that science injection of science, but still very much a marriage of nature and science. But there's also, it feels like everyone has been updated, like the algorithm has been updated every year. And
Yeah.
and and there's a freshness and there's a modernity that I actually appreciate, because as you said, time is your most precious resource. We also have lots of choices what to do with our money. So if you're going to be a repeat guest, yes, you want the familiarity, but you also want to know you're getting the best in the world, and you don't need to go to, Spain or, Bali or or Switzerland. That, if you come to Kamalaya, there has been that constant evolution and update. And I think what you're doing this year is the one I'm most excited about. And I'd love you to talk about it, because I am on the same page with you.
Well, let me pick up on the fact that I listened to several of your episodes of Ageless, and I was thrilled to see, how in touch you are with what's happening in the field of longevity and life extension and lifespans and aging agelessly. There's so much happening in that whole field, and congratulations for delving into it and bringing it out into the general public more. So we have, so what's interesting is that our incorporation of functional medicine into our wellness programs, into our cuisine, into our philosophy and vision has been from the very beginning. So it has always been informing what we do at Kamalaya. And in fact, when I had the original documents that I had to submit to the Thai government for permits, for licenses, etc., I had functional testing, I had IVs, I had hyperbaric chamber, for example. These things like 17, 18 years ago. Because,
Wow.
yeah, it is.
We're in good hands then. If you started 17 years ago, the innovator, the early adopter is now, the one at the helm. So we're thrilled to hear it.
Yeah, well, but because Thailand at that time, it was just really cutting edge. It was not available anywhere. There was one hospital that was doing an anti-aging kind of joint venture with a French anti-aging clinic. And I went, and they were doing some of the things, and I trialed them, and I thought we could do a tie-up. It never worked out, but that was it. So what I'm trying to say is the vision, the documentation, because remember, I did a lot of my training in the US. So I've had my pulse on these things way before they hit Asia, way before they went to Europe and Australia. And so it was part of the vision, but getting the approval, getting the licensing, getting the certificates was delaying and delaying. And then finally, with the opportunity of several things coming together, the Thai government, definitely fast tracking some of these things because more hospitals and more clinics were wanting this. Also, we had already prepared for this in 2019, and we were set to launch in 2020, and then COVID hit. So that just delayed us, but we were ready to go into 2020. So this is actually, it's new and it's not new to us. And what I'm talking about is basically the use of functional testing, genetic testing, IVs, and ozone and hyperbaric chamber and cryotherapy, all these types of things, which we now are rolling out and implementing at Kamalaya. Some of them are already set and going, and some by the end of September will be complete. We're building some new facilities to accommodate some of them because they
I know
require
this
more
sounds so retro now, but I remember the first time I came to Kamalaya and tried an infrared sauna. It was like mind blown. What is this time machine? This is so amazing. But, again, you were first. You were well first. This was many, 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 many years ago.
Absolutely. It was really, at the time, think about that 17 years ago, nobody was doing this, but the science was there. And again, I attribute that not to anything other than because I'm a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, and because I did a research project with a professor at UCLA who is one of the top environmental toxicologists in the US. He and I, and then my other mentor in Chinese medicine, did a research project on detoxification. I learned about all of this way before it was in the general public. So now we're rolling it out. It's being rolled out. Some of it is already implemented. And the purpose isn't to catch up to trends. As I mentioned earlier, Kamalaya is about depth and authenticity. And we don't chase trends, and we're not, what's the newest thing and how can we bring it in? But rather, it was part of our intention and vision, and now we're able to actually ground it. And what it does is it enhances and augments the efficacy of our wellness programs. It literally just, I don't want to say upgrades them, because the programs are effective without this, but it just means that you can have more benefits, more results in a short period of time. Because after all, before COVID, people would come for 10 days, 2 weeks, and that was a good stay. After COVID, we have people staying 3 and 4 weeks, 5 and 6 weeks, because if you're going to travel, people want to invest their time now. They're like, I'm not going to go through this rigmarole. And so then the kind of impact we can have for people with these added services is tremendous. Again, it just augments and increases the benefits in a short period of time.
And I think that this is a really good time to also talk to the practitioners and the way that you select your visiting practitioners and the in-house practitioners, because again, this is something that I have never seen at the level that Kamalaya has invested in, and it is an investment, because I know a lot of your guests will literally wait for their special visiting practitioner, and plan their entire year around being in Kamalaya when you have your specialists in-house. How do you select these practitioners? Because, you can have a hyperbaric chamber, as you said, you can do a blood test, a DNA test, but without it being dovetailed into a program and supervised by the right practitioner, that information can be not only overwhelming, but possibly wasteful.
Yes.
I'd love for you to, as we finish up, just to share your philosophy and your methodology for choosing practitioners.
So I really want to first and foremost say that our core team is really the heart and soul of Kamalaya. And that's therapists, yoga teachers, instructors, naturopaths, TCM doctors, all of them. They are the heart and soul. They are the ones really pulling everything together. And we have the same way of selecting for our international visiting practitioners, which is first and foremost, our international visiting practitioners have to have the qualifications, the training, the background. That's a given. That's just a given. And they usually come recommended by either our existing practitioner team or wellness team, or by guests, believe it or not, across their life. They say, oh, who would be just an incredible. And so it's beautiful, because it's a guest who already loves Kamalaya, knows Kamalaya, and they refer specialists. And some just approaches because Kamalaya is world renowned now. And so they want to be somehow associated and become a part of it and bring their skills and talents. So what happens is we then have an interview process with them, and we make sure that they complement what we already have on offer rather than duplicating. And we have our team, our specialists in-house, vet them to a level. And then in the end, I'm usually the last person to either have a trial treatment or the final interview. Most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, they give treatments to our team, to special people on our team who can evaluate their expertise. And then in the end, I do. So it's really a lot of quality control, and it reflects Kamalaya. We have to be very selective. So I hope that clarifies, how that works. We're very proud of our team, both the core team, the international visiting practitioners, and we're just starting this up again. We have osteopaths, chiropractors, specialists in connective tissue and fascia, rolfers, really talented, experienced people. And we're just starting up again. Now that it's possible to travel freely to Thailand again, we can start inviting our international visiting practitioners back.
And I would be remiss to finish this podcast without talking about your commitment to cuisine, and what you have done with food at Kamalaya is just unbelievable. And I have never in my life eaten as well as I have at Kamalaya, and I can't believe that I managed to lose a few pounds and leave with glowing good skin with 3-course meals at every time. But tell us about your food philosophy. It's remarkable.
We really feel I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie, and I'm unashamedly a foodie. So the issue is that, can you bring together health and a palate pleasing extravaganza? We decided both were important, and that's our approach. And half of our cuisine is completely plant-based and unbelievably therapeutic, but we don't count calories. And that's our detox cuisine. And it's scientifically based and very effective. And we use it for some programs. The other cuisine, it has a different strength to it. It's the healthy Kamalaya cuisine. And we use it for other programs. It's not as restrictive, but it's still phenomenally health results driven. And we have some other things coming up that I can't talk about yet, but food will continue to be at the forefront of the Kamalaya journey. And, I'm a foodie, so you just have to know we can bring health and youthfulness into the cuisine and really satisfy the palate. I think pleasure in life is very important.
Just about to say, I remember the first conversation you and I had, and I think John also touched on it, that pleasure is one of life's most healing elements, and to reintroduce joy where there's been stress or burnout, to reintroduce pleasure where there's been scarcity or austerity, and to reintroduce pleasure of the senses as well is really it's kind of it's a hidden practitioner at Kamalaya.
Yes, exactly. You said it exactly the way we embody it at Kamalaya.
Well, I really cannot express enough to whoever is listening to this today how much I wish for you to experience the joy and the completely restorative joy that is a visit to Kamalaya in Thailand. You're based in Koh Samui, one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's now safe to travel. It's now easy to travel. I know the Thai government were one of the first countries to really open up travel. And in my experience, anyway, it's really easy from Australia to get to Koh Samui, and I can't wait to see you again.
I can't wait to have you back with us, Bahar. And maybe, I don't know when you're coming, November or December, but I will be in Australia in November. So I hope we can catch up then in person too.
I can't wait. I can't wait. All the love and all the joy. And I look forward to sharing my Kamalaya journey with my viewers and listeners. And I can't wait to bring more of the Kamalaya wisdom through the magazine and on Ageless, because there are some beautiful opportunities with some of your specialist practitioners to share with our audience. And I can't wait.
Thank you so much. And again, a huge congratulations on Ageless. I loved what I heard so far, and I can't wait to keep going. So thank you for bringing that to life.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Bahar.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please share and rate this episode. I'd love that.